In the last video, we saw that the operating system runs multiple programs at the same time. But how does it actually do that? To understand this, we need to learn one of the most important concepts in operating systems, the concept of a process. A process is simply a running program. When you open an app, like a browser or a music player, the operating system creates a process for it. So your program on disk becomes a live running entity in memory. Now here's something interesting. You might have many apps open at the same time, but your computer may have only one CPU. Now you might be thinking, modern computers have multiple cores, not just one CPU. And that's true. But even with multiple cores, the number of processes is usually much larger. So the operating system still needs to switch between processes. This switching is what creates the smooth experience you see. The operating system uses something called time sharing. It quickly switches the CPU between different processes, so fast that each process feels like it has the CPU all to itself. This is what we call the OS creating an illusion. It virtualizes the CPU. Behind the scenes, there is a component called the scheduler. The scheduler decides which process should run next. You can think of it like a manager choosing which task to do at any moment. There are two important parts here. First is the policy. This decides which process should run. Second is the mechanism. This is how the system actually switches between processes. We will understand these in detail in upcoming videos. Now let's understand what a process actually contains. Every process has a unique ID. This is called the process ID, or PID. Think of it like a unique name for each running program. Next, every process has memory. This is where its code and data are stored. It also has something called a stack, which is used when functions are called, and something called a heap, which is used when memory is allocated during runtime. Don't worry if these terms feel new. We'll cover them in detail later. Now, apart from memory, a process also has something called CPU context. This includes things like the current instruction being executed and other important values inside the CPU. In simple terms, this is the current state of the process while it is running. A process also has open files. For example, when a program prints something on the screen or takes input from the keyboard, it is actually using files in the background. All of this together forms the complete state of a process. Now let's see how the operating system creates a process. When you run a program, the OS loads it from disk into memory. It sets up the memory, including code, data, stack, and heap. It opens some basic files like input and output. And it sets up the CPU so the program can start running. So basically, the OS prepares everything needed for the process to begin execution. Now, once a process is created, it doesn't always stay in the same state. A process can be in different states at different times. There are three main states you should understand. First is the running state. This means the process is currently using the CPU. Second is the ready state. This means the process is ready to run, but it is waiting for its turn. And third is the blocked state. This means the process is waiting for something, like data from disk. For example, if a process asks to read a file, it has to wait until the data comes. During that time, it cannot use the CPU, so it becomes blocked. Once the data is ready, it moves back to the ready state, and then eventually, the OS schedules it again to run. So processes keep moving between these states: running, ready, and blocked. This is happening continuously inside your computer. The operating system keeps track of all processes using special data structures. You can think of it like a list of all active processes. Each process has a record called a process control block, or PCB. This contains all important information about the process, like its ID, its current state, memory details, CPU state, and open files. The OS uses this information to manage and switch between processes efficiently. So to summarize, a process is a running program. The OS creates and manages processes, switches between them, and keeps track of their state. This is what allows your computer to run multiple applications smoothly. In the next video, I'll show you something crazy. Every program you run is created using just 2 to 3 simple functions. Once you understand them, you'll understand how the entire OS works. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.